What's up, everybody? January 17th edition of the Fightful MMA Podcast. As always, Tuesdays, I'm joined by UFC middleweight Elias Theodorou. He is the inaugural Ultimate Fighter Nations champion when Canada took on the US of A when they were in the middle of nowhere in Quebec. Elias ended up winning that middleweight Ultimate Fighter. Elias, what's going on, brother?
It was actually Australia, not US. But I would
What did I
love
say?
to leave.
I said US?
Yes, yeah. You said us, but you're still perfect to me. It's okay. I think you're beautiful. On that great note, let's kick this off.
Canada versus Australia. I don't know what I was thinking about US today. I guess because I do want to get to the
There's way
Ultimate
too many
Fighter.
UFCs. That's why.
What's that?
There's a lot of UFCs, so I understand. There's a lot of toughs, so do not worry.
I'm so lost, dude.
Already happened. It's coming. Or you just figured out the next season after this one with Cody and TJ. So
yeah,
there's
I want to
option.
get to that because they did announce that during the UFC Phoenix broadcast. But
Lead away.
doesn't it suck that they haven't done another Ultimate Fighter in Canada? I know why they haven't done it. I think you pretty much know why as well. But it was so great when it was first on. I just wish they would have did it again.
Yep, and a certain someone who may have won one of those could also coach it. So after I smash this top Ultimate Fighter winner, I might take on another Ultimate Fighter winner, and let's throw a show behind that.
You know what? We don't really have, as Canadians, we generally don't have any sort of enemies unless it's in hockey because we don't like the States, we don't like Russia.
Cool. I'll take on someone from I don't know, Boston or something. Some guy that's from Boston. Then there you go. Boom.
You and Kenny Florian as coaches? No, best hair in MMA.
No. What's his name? Well, he's a Jersey guy. I would love to fight the new recent Ultimate Fighter winner. I don't know, Sanchez or something like that. Eric Sanchez.
Oh, okay, yeah.
After I smash this guy, there's a good one right there. But no one knows who he is. I had to look him up when he called me out. I think 3 people called me out that day. I'm like, wait, who is this guy? Who the fuck is that guy? So I after I smash this tough, I'll go on a world tour. I beat up Brazil, then I go beat up the US, and then we'll take on China. Well, they're not big enough for me, but we'll figure this out.
But you're on a world tour as is, because last week, I mean, not even 7 days ago, you were in LA doing the shoot or doing the commercial, I think it was, and now you're over at TriStar with Faraz. I mean, did you ever get any rest or what?
Ain't no rest for the wicked, and I'm never sleeping on Twitter, as it seems. So no, honestly, there's 24 hours in the day, and I fit basically 2 sessions in each day, no matter where it is. I kind of time all my projects that I have. I time them all basically a hard week, an easy week. A hard week, an easy week. This will be my hard week, where I basically have a week of 2-a-days here at TriStar. Smash it out. And then next week, you'll probably have me while I'm in Calgary for Hard Knocks, because I'm doing the commentating for that as well. So I think next week, where is Elias? We're going to do like a new rendition, like of Carmen Sandiego, of where I'm all over the place.
Yeah,
but
never
at the
mind.
same time, yeah, exactly. But the beautiful thing is, I think I'm going to get in some training with Nick Ring and a couple other Taekwondo guys that I know. Dan, he's down there. That again, 2 sessions a day. There's 24 hours in the day, and I don't mind being a little tired with my workout. I think that's part of work ethic. I'm building something larger than mixed martial arts in regards to just the brand that I want to create. And after I smash Caesar, a lot of that will be announced, and I'll be ready to go with that. But I think in many ways, Ronda Rousey's blueprint wasn't necessarily a negative thing. The idea of having to be a one-track fighter, I just think she had the wrong team behind her. I have a great team. I have all my coaches either in Toronto or Montreal or any of the executive training partners that I work with. They're all in the mix, and they all have input, and I'm not surrounded by yes men.
I was going to say, that was the next thing. Yeah, I was just going to say that. You've never been one of those guys that I think you can politely tell somebody off. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point. Because again, at the end of the day, I'm the captain of my ship. You are the accumulation of those you surround yourself with, and I'm lucky to be in the gym, outside of the gym with great people, great business partners, great management, and everything in between. But I'm the one that assembled that. And in many ways, like I said, I'm the captain, although I don't have the funny sailor hat right now.
Actually, it's probably in your suitcase. I wouldn't be surprised. But
try everything twice.
Yeah. The one thing that took me a long time to learn, Elias, was because of the travel schedule. And let's face it, I'm not a professional athlete. I just have to look good in front of the camera, and they put makeup on my face and on my head to make sure I look good. But diet nutrition is extremely important. I keep thinking of guys like yourself that do so much traveling, and especially you got to keep your weight in check.
Yep.
You got a bump coming up. How do you deal with that? Or do you have people with you, or do you just know?
A little bit of both. I have someone that has been always, especially towards the end, taking care of my diet, Lachlan Chang, who's been a part of my coach, and he's again in many ways the coach and also the executive training partner, because he does give me movement too, and we do work together. He also takes care of my nutrition the last week, and I also have great sponsors. HBN, they are the utmost standard in regards to supplements and also recovery. And then there's also Fuel Foods. I'm very lucky to have a meal delivery sponsor that basically packs up everything I have, and I take that to go. I take a week's worth of food. If I'm going to LA for a week, I take a week's worth of food with me. I might have to, let some of my clothes leave, but like we talked about on Twitter, clothes always optional. So especially if I'm in LA, I don't need shirts. What do you need shirts and socks for? I got sandals. We're good. I'll just be a hipster for a week. But I will be eating great.
Okay, so when you get to TriStar, this is the question I have for you when I saw the picture with you and Faraz. Faraz doesn't hold back any punches. He'll tell you flat out, hey, need to work on this, need to work on that. But when you come and go and you see Faraz, does Faraz sit there with his own mental blueprint, or does he actually say, okay, listen, we're fighting Caesar, or we're fighting this guy, here's what we need to work on. I know you're leaving, work on this, and sort of thing. And do you ever get messages when you go elsewhere, or is it what basically Faraz and the coaches in Toronto say, that's what we're doing?
No, we're all on the same page. What's it called? I'm even going to set up an email chain with a couple of my coaches from back home that are going to come 1 week, and we're just going to get it all synced up. We're all in communication, and I'm, again, the person that's the I guess, connector of them, even though, again, Faraz and like Lachlan have a really good relationship. Chad and Faraz get along just great, and it goes on for more further from there. But the point being that everyone's in connection. We have this beautiful thing called technology. We can get everyone in a room even before they're actually in a physical room and on the mat. So we all have the same concept. And again, I'm using what's called the spaghetti rule. I'm throwing everything on the wall, and see what sticks. So if I'm doing something with Chad Pearson in regards to wrestling, and that kind of works in together with the foot battle and the tendencies that I have to work with the southpaw that I'm talking with Faraz, and I'm talking with Kruash, and everyone in between. So as now we're about a little bit less than 5 weeks out, I think it's like 34 days or something like that. I have a very good blueprint of how to beat Caesar, whatever, the guy that I'm going to beat. That's what we're going to dub him. It's so funny when someone asks me, like, who are you fighting? I'm like, a dead man. And then it takes like a second for them. It takes a second. It takes a second for them to think it. Who are you fighting? A dead man. Doesn't matter who it is. And then they're like, slick. And then I tell them who it is. And obviously, again, Caesar, he has been in the past a little inconsistent in the sense of he was, dubbed Vitor's protege and was supposed to be the next big thing. And then he's had a couple stifles. He fought someone as tough as Sam Alvey. I can vouch how tough he is and how awkward and long he is. And he got rocked and knocked out. He went down to 170, which was an ill-advised thing. There's a diminishing returns of trying to be the biggest guy in the cage, especially that it shows at 170 with your chin. You can't hydrate, especially not with the IV, no more IVs anymore. Anyways, I digress. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He's very tough. He has that eye of the tiger again. There's a real thing called momentum. And sometimes we see it in like an example with Ronda Rousey where it's this magnitude and it's this driving force, and then it might be gone. But then there's outliers who get it back. And my opponent is now on a 3-fight winning streak. 2 of those are finishes. So he's dangerous. He's getting a little confidence because he knows what victory is again. So it's an interesting thing.
I guess guys are more or less going old school, and girls are going old school without the IV anymore. What have you seen or heard, or even from yourself, or just in general, what are fighters doing nowadays that whenever, they got to cut that weight and gone is the chance that you could just sit back, have a needle put into you, a saline bag, slowly dripping, IV or saline into your system. What are folks doing now other than just like, okay, don't drink all that water in one shot or all that Gatorade in one shot or whatever? What are they doing nowadays?
Short answer, being an athlete year round. With me, I could take a month to have a couple, like I was young, 25, like right after the Ultimate Fighter. What do you think I did? I drank my body weight and ate my body weight for about a month. But you can't do that anymore. Because again, as the sport goes, in many ways, you got to be an athlete year round. You could get a call. Unlike most sports, there's no off season. There's always someone trying to kick your ass. So, and especially when you're someone like myself who has a lot of catching up to do. I didn't do jiu-jitsu when I was 10. I didn't start wrestling when I was in elementary school. I'm playing a lot of catch up. In many ways, I had the tenacity to play pond hockey and go to the NHL at the age of 21. I think for me, being a generalist, it forces me to continue to be on, not necessarily strict, because like, again, if you're doing 2 sessions a day, you can eat a lot of food. You can have fun with it. I can still travel. I can still this and that, blah, 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 because I can turn any place into my office. I think the short term, it's obviously helping clean up the sport, because saline, it's not the issue of the IV itself, it's the issue of saline acts as a masking agent for any type of test. So plastic is in your blood, and then you're like, well, we don't really know if that's plastic, or we don't know anything else. The test is no good. And then by the time you end up, what's it called? The time you end up getting tested again, it's already out of your system, right? So it's obviously to clean up the sport, and I'm willing to give up my use of it for the right side of history. That's the important thing. Cleaning up the sport, the right side of history. If you have nothing to hide, and it forces you, like I said, to be an athlete year round, obviously it's better to be bigger, and there's advantages with that, and especially with the lack of weight classes. There's not enough weight classes. I think my perfect weight class would probably be 195. If we're going to look at it at the perfect hydration, I think in regards to my actual like body frame, I think I'm too small for a 205. I train with Misha. We're about the same weight, but he's 2 inches higher. His reach is a little longer as well. There's inevitable benefits and features that he's going to have in regards of being just a little bit bigger. I have a smaller frame. I have a frame of a 185er. But now I'm going to be around, instead of 217, 218, I'll be 210.
You look at, this is a conversation I've had with people before regarding the weight classes. Do you think one weight or a weight class every 10 pounds is too much, or does that work?
No, I think it works now, especially if we're going to throw in terms for everybody. Anyways, if it's all about content anyways now, I think the original aspect was clearly to not dilute the weight classes. And the idea for branding recognition, one of the faults for boxing is that every 5 pounds is a different weight class. So that's very hard for people to get excited at the super welterweight or whatever the heck they have. The point being, I think now there's a need for it. And I think there's enough talent, especially in the men's division. Let's be honest, the women, they're building right now. They're a couple of years behind. One thing I would say one thing I kind of was talking to a friend of mine, Dan, he said it right. He called Ronda Rousey essentially the Royce Gracie of mixed martial arts, in the sense that she built the sport and now it's moved past her. Same thing. Mixed martial arts, the female divisions rather, are building up in their own right. But I think the male divisions, but even again, females need more weight classes too. The 125, they need a 145. They have it now. So the same point stands there too. Well, obviously the men, there's even more because we're going to get bigger. Unless you can find a weight class for Gabby.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Yeah, that'll change. You know what I'm saying? But you do make a great point. I know of, my goodness, I can think of probably 6 or 7 women off the top of my head that got into jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts because of Ronda Rousey. She was the reason that they said, oh, wait a second, women can do this as well. I'm like, you damn right. Yep. Women have been fighting in MMA for a long time. They just never had that superstar that came out that caught lightning in a bottle and that was able to transcend everything and to get onto a microphone, have the look, and just be whoever she wanted to be and not really give a rat's ass about what anyone thought of her. And that was Ronda Rousey. She was already an athlete. I mean, she's an Olympic competitor for a reason.
Medalist.
She was, right? So she was a badass. So there's women that, and she, like you said, I think it's a great analogy. The horse Gracie of women's MMA. She's gonna, we can't falter. Again, I told you last week. It drives me nuts when people have changed their logos or their names or on their Instagrams and or their Twitters to show Ronda Rousey's face battered in by a man. I mean, it drives me nuts. She's done so much for the sport.
Again,
she's made bad decisions, bad people around her, but
But the more important thing with the women's analogy, now the money. And where goes the money, there goes the people. So now if a female in mixed martial arts actually provides a career, then you'll actually see athletes from other sports, much like wrestlers originally, and much like the not really boxers, because obviously boxing always had money, but I think wrestling and taekwondo and karate and all those other sports, jiu-jitsu, you'll see female athletes going in that direction because there is a direction, and it's a beautiful thing. Let's not get it twisted. This sport is only 20 years old, give or take. So to see it all evolve in front of our eyes and the way it has, and even I know many people are first to push about the money situation in regards to fighting in general, but I think there's a lot of money still to be made if you work for it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, anyone that takes a look at my Instagram or my Twitter or Facebook, you'll see a lot of logos behind me. I juggle and wear a lot of these. I wear a lot of hats in terms of what I do to make the bills or to make ends meet. And I love it. It's hard work. And I know that, in time, I'm setting the foundation to make my family extremely financially secure. And that's what I'm doing right now. And MMA is obviously my passion. It'll never go away, as much as people were like, oh, he's gone. No, I'm still here. I still love what I do.
I see you right there. I see you right there, sir.
Yeah, I can't leave. I got guys like you, Faraz, probably George is going to bust my chops some way, somehow on this phone. I don't know. And everyone around the whole Canadian scene, even the American scene. But you mentioned Gabby Garcia. Find a weight class for her. They finally have the 145-pound featherweight division starting to move forward in mixed martial arts for the ladies. Unfortunately, you got Bellator and you got the UFC that are going to have. There isn't much depth in that division.
Yeah,
and there's 2 titles, right?
Yep. No, it's true. It's true. But again, you build it and they will come. They might not be a prevalent. And obviously, the amount of weight classes they have and what options they have, they won't be a female title every other month. But still, if it's part of the conversation, if it's part of the top of the card, again, you have Penn versus brain fart, Shevchenko.
Shevchenko, yeah.
Shevchenko, there you go. I knew there were vowels and consonants. I couldn't put it together. I just couldn't put it together in my head. But the point being said, like, again, females are being right on the top of the card. She will be that duo will be on the top of the Denver card. That's a huge honor. They're again one of the guys, if you want to put it that way, in the sense that it's an equal bearing sport, and I don't see too many boxing main events that are headlined by females.
No, you're right. And the one cool thing about that fight right there is it's headlining a show where the UFC got started. UFC got started in Denver in November of 1993. Lo and behold, boom, women are now, I think it's so cool. They're headlining the show there. One comment you made there, you said that it's not like women titles are going to be happening every 3 or 4 months. Damn it, add that 125-pound division, and we will have 150ers, 25, 35, and 45. We'll have 4 titles, and you can see women competing
once every 3 months
title all the time.
Once every, no, it's true. It's very true. It's very true. But again, it's one of those things where they need the stars there. 125, I think, can really fill up, and now 145 too is starting to come out. Like there are, again, there might not be 50 female fighters at 145, but there might be 10, 15 that can put on a show.
Well, I hate to break it to everybody out there. Not only can you add a 125-pound division to the UFC, you can also add a 105 division, the atomweights.
True. Anthem. Yep. Very true.
That's 5 titles for women. You can have, champions and different males and females definitely filling up
That's
the show. And I know come Friday.
Interim belts for all.
Yeah, well,
belts
not
for
so
all.
much that, but Friday, just to let everyone know, Friday, Reed Kuhn is generally my guest, and he generally talks about the analytics and the numbers in mixed martial arts. To my understanding, Friday will be a challenge, not just for Reed, because he's traveling, but for yours truly, as I'll be calling Titan FC on Friday,
Yeah, you will.
or excuse me, on Saturday. So I will be in Miami. Well, I wish I was in South Beach, although it's 25 minutes away, Elias. I'll be stuck in my hotel room doing research Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Well, it's a tough job, but everyone's got to do it. I will. While you're in there, while you're at least in positive weather, I will be in Calgary -30 weather, so it could be worse.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, for those that don't know, Elias and I are both from the Greater Toronto region, and I'm looking outside my window right now, and it's just kind of rainy and maybe some ice water, freezing rain. This guy, if you saw my Instagram and Twitter feed or Facebook feed, doesn't have any hot water in this house. Just waiting for the technician to come by and fix the hot water tank, so I can get a nice warm or at least hot shower. I had Lee Meehan from Alberta. Obviously, you know Lee Meehan pretty well with Jordan Meehan. He's ripping me apart, as you are ripping me apart on Twitter. He's like, dude, cold showers are awesome. And I'm like,
they're great for you.
They're
great for you. They're great for you. They're great for you. What's called the endorphins that it will actually cause. It basically contracts your blood and basically all of your arteries and your muscles, and it makes you contract. And it'll help you because it forces you to turn on your own inner what's it called, furnace, that is your metabolism. It'll help you actually cut weight as well. So if you for dietary reasons too, it'll help you. So there's many reasons why, Joe, that you should be doing this.
I'm so not.
I never want to hear you complaining about like, my back hurts or anything like that. That would
hold on. Realistically speaking, not being able to take a hot shower is first world problems.
No. Just principle in general. No, but it's also principle. I will go devil's advocate. I will fight for you. Just in principle, you want to have the option.
And pay for the damn hot water tank.
Exactly.
Okay, enough with that. Let's move on over to UFC Phoenix, where I'm already sort of displeasure with BJ Penn coming back. BJ Penn competing. I got it. He was supposed to fight Dennis Seaver. Seaver gets injured. Enter Cole Miller, and then BJ Penn can't fight Cole Miller. And the UFC says Ricardo Lamas, and I was like, no, that's not a good fight. And that fight doesn't happen. I'm sure they got pissed off at BJ Penn for having to cancel that event. And then they give him Yair Rodriguez, and I'm like, this should not be happening. And lo and behold, what did we see on Sunday there in Phoenix? But what everyone knew was going to happen.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things. I don't know. I don't like the analogy, but like I think it's the whole BJ Penn thing is like a bad relationship where it's like she's gonna change. I tell you, she's gonna change. He hasn't won since 2012. It's 2017. Like, let's be real here. Like, no one can take away the same thing. The analogy works with obviously with Ronda Rousey. No one can take away what he's accomplished. He was one of the first, if not the first, to get 2 belts in 2 different weight classes. But that was a different time in regards to the sport. And you have the young guns now, and he's only at the age of 37, 38 that he is. Now at the weight class that he should have been, he fought Lyoto Machida, for God's sakes. This is someone that is probably one of the toughest SOBs to ever be in the cage. And that point still stands in regards to it being too tough to be in there in the first place. No way he should have been there. Dennis Seaver sounds like a great option. It's like, we want this, we want BJ Penn a part of this awesome card. He's the first on the main card. Dennis Seaver, they're about, again, physically at the same point with each other. And it's just sad because everyone wants to, in athletics, it's so hard to walk off in a sunset. And he's again, example of why that is. And let's not take away what this also highlights, the wasted potential in regards to BJ Penn. Not obviously he was a champion. Obviously he's one of the greats, but in the sense that he was the prime example of God-given talent. Obviously he worked hard to become a BJJ black belt, to win the
Mundials.
I can't remember. Yes, yeah, there you go. To win that, no one can ever take away from that. But I think in many ways, from again, people I know that in regards to his training regimen and why everyone said motivated BJ Penn was a thing, because he didn't need to be motivated. He was just too goddamn good. And I think when he became a Hall of Famer, that kind of checked his ego / oh my God, his mortality. He wanted to get back in there to prove that he can do it, because, you know, kicking ass is timeless. Well, obviously, yes, we know you're tough, but you can't, like, there's a certain diminishing returns. We even saw it with Hopkins, like, even the greats in regards to that. Hopkins was renowned for his defensive boxing and his technicality and just beating you, outsmarting you, but father time's a mother. You know what I was going to say.
Yep, 100%. Now, it brings up sort of a discussion I've been having, and not just in here, but just in general with people.
Yes, with other both real people. Have discussions with real people.
And the ones inside here. How do we protect you guys from yourselves? Should people around you be tasked with that? Should the commissions
for sure
be tasked with that? Should the promoters? It's just, you know, the argument that was made by Sean Ross Sapp on Sunday after the event. You know, as the managing editor of Fightful.com, he made a really good point, because I was disgusted with BJ Penn seeing that, because BJ, I mean, full disclosure, he's a friend. You know, I love his mom, his family, and everything like that, his brothers, and they've always treated me like gold and blah, blah. But I can't sit there and watch that. I already get stressed out when you fight, when Pearson used to fight, when George fights, BJ fights, you know, Frankie Edgar. It drives me nuts. But there comes a time when it's like, okay, that's it. Okay, it's done. You guys did what you had to do. You made your money. You created a legacy. Now it's time to sort of walk away and sort of to sort of walk on. But, you know, BJ did that, and then, you know, it was the John Fitch fight, and then the John Fitch fight was, I think it was a draw, and then from there it was just the Nick Diaz fight. And after the Nick Diaz fight, he said, "That's it. I can't go home to my daughter looking like this, only to return and take on Rory McDonald." And then after that was because he wanted to get to George St. Pierre, so he moves up and takes a guy like Rory McDonald, gets a beating handed to him, and then comes out of that and says, "I'm going to go back after Frankie Edgar," and then shows up with that upright stance, and I'm like, this is going to stop. And then he comes back years later and then takes on Yair Rodriguez. Like, someone has to step in there. And then, as I was saying, Sean Ross Sapp made a really good point, saying it's ratings. It's ratings.
For sure.
Right? But to me, it's like, someone's got to stop these promoters from doing something like this, because, you know, Dana White often said that with Chuck Liddell, I want to make money, but I don't want to make that kind of money. I don't want to make money off of him. The same could be said for BJ Penn, because BJ Penn, I know what he did to them when he won the title versus Matt Hughes, and then takes off and then goes to Japan and blah, 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 and stuff like that. But, you know, promoters should not be allowed to do that to fighters, in my opinion.
Well, at the same time, BJ's a grown-ass man. If he wants to be in there, he wants to be there. Unfortunately, he's the one that's going to have to live the repercussions in regards to his brain, in regards to his body. I understand, as an athlete, the desire to walk off on top, like I said. No one gets to do that. That's what shows how great of a thing, and why I personally don't think that George should come back, unless, again, the right fight, or the whatever, one-off. You know what I mean? He's not returning for 10 fights, like anything like that. I think, because that continues on regards to, for instance, George's legacy, that he was able to walk off as champion. No one does that. Look at Anderson. Look at everyone. Father Time. It's a real thing. Athletics in general is a finite resource, and you got to squeeze the lemon for all it's worth. I think with BJ Penn, he's got his money. He has his brands. He has his partnerships. He has BJPenn.com. He has a legacy, like you said, and no one can take that away from him. Put a couple, like, why doesn't the UFC pair with him for a couple of UFC gyms down there, and be the coach, the face of that? And I don't think it's a money in general. I think it's just him realizing, hey, it's almost over. There's times where I could have maybe fought 3 times a year, and I only fought once. You know what I mean? Like, it's all those potential fights that probably have passed him away, and seeing the sport. And that $4.2 billion mark does ring really true on a lot of us. Again, even if you don't believe in conservative principles, trickle-down theory in some regards has to happen. And in many ways, it allows you to stay relevant and develop the brand that is yourself. All the projects that I have on the side, all the projects that I'm working on are relevant because I'm a mixed martial artist. I'm a professional fighter. It has this gravitas to it, right? This is why people are coming at you. So it's a way for him to stay relevant, if not for the brand aspect, for even himself. So I very much empathize with him, but at the same time, it's his choice, and he's a grown-ass man.
Well, devil's advocate, great points. I'm not going to disagree with you whatsoever, but I do want to try and get into your head entirely to think about.
Be careful,
because when I was watching Yair Rodriguez, the only thing going through my mind was like, I don't think he wants to hurt this guy. I don't think he wants to hurt BJ Penn. But then something goes off, and he's like, "Hey, no, he signed the contract.
It's him or me.
He wants to fight me.
It's him or me. It's him or me. That's basically it, right? It's him or me."
Is that what goes through your mind, though, even though you're potentially fighting this legend Hall of Famer?
Yeah, but he makes more money than me anyway. So I guarantee you that, God bless him, even beating BJ Penn didn't walk away with more than BJ Penn.
Yeah, that's a very good point. A lot of stuff happened on that card, especially in the co-main event where Joe Lozon took on Marcin Held. And again, Joe Lozon gets his hand raised and reaching, and he's just like, no, that's not going to happen. And a weird thing, a politician in the States, Matt Bevin, went off about the UFC and fixed judging, or not really fixed judging. Some of the stuff that he had said, I was like, whoa, you can't be saying that kind of stuff, man. What do you think when a politician like that, who basically appoints athletic commissions or commissioners and stuff like that, goes on and says something like that? It's like, dude, it's not the UFC that did this. These are state athletic commission and judges.
What, you mean a politician not knowing what they're talking about? Never. Just put it in the chock full of U.S. politics and bullshit that follows.
Yeah. I feel bad.
I do feel not even. Yes and no. I don't really. Again, keeping it 100. He's being honest about it. He's like, yeah, I don't win, but he still gets to go away with both pays. So he's a win-win, I think, for him. Literally, he wins, he gets paid and wins, and he looks like the good guy. So he wins, triple wins.
True, but you got to give Joel or J-Lo like total props though for what he did and what he said afterwards. And he's like, even tells Sean Shelby, do not cut this guy. Don't cut him. Give him at least one more chance. I mean, it's up to Sean Shelby to listen. But Joe Lozon is just a man.
No, he's a sweetheart. All my interactions with him, it's been that case, and he's been very much the same person throughout his fighting career. And that's another person that, again, he's one of the guys that's been there forever. But the beautiful thing with him is, even with this close decision, he's still moving in the right direction.
Sergio Pettis opens up that broadcast taking on John Moraga. Now, at the UFC event in Toronto, I go over backstage. I got escorted into this VIP area, and I shouldn't say backstage. I guess one of the suites, the Air Canada suite. You know pretty well down at the Air Canada Center. I go in there, and boom, Stephen Thompson is there. He's talking to Sergio Pettis, and I told you, I go shake his hand, and Sergio Stephen Thompson has, Showdown Joe hands, nice and soft, moisturizers, lather up sort of thing, blah blah. Yes, yeah, you can roll those eyebrows all you want. Whoa. And then I go over and I shake Sergio Pettis' hand, and I'm like, dude, what do you do, construction? Like, dude, that's like I was just shaking hands with a brick. And then he stood up, he said, hi, Joe, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, man, look at me, Elias. I'm bigger than another UFC fighter. I'm taller than him. I'm 5'7". People laugh at me all the time when they first meet me. And then I see him against John Moraga. And I remember John Moraga being a little bigger than that. Like, Sergio Pettis looks bigger, or didn't appear to be bigger than John Moraga. And he basically put on a strike clinic.
Didn't Moraga get in trouble with Demetrius Johnson?
Yes.
So the whole used to look bigger, I think there's a reason for that. Moving on.
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. But you got to give props to Pettis, because think about it for a second.
100%. A title challenger, man. Dude.
And, Demetrius Johnson, you and I have been talking about Father Time. Hello. There could be a catch up there.
Yep. No, it's 110%. I totally agree. again, what DJ has been able to pull off is a beautiful thing. And with what goes first, power or speed? Speed does go first. So that's unfortunate for the lighter weight classes. Whereas big boys can, do this into their 30s, 40s. Go heavyweights. 35. Heavyweight prime.
Speaking of heavyweights on that card, what went through your mind when I don't know if you saw did you watch the whole card, by the way?
Yep.
So what went through your mind when Alexei Olenek gets that Ezekiel choke on Victor Pesta? Not once, but not once, because he had it on the first time.
Yep.
Let it go, and Pesta goes to side control, and then all of a sudden he gets it back on, and then he goes into mouth.
Fool me
once.
Thank you. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And especially in his Ezekiel joke, it's embarrassing. But he kept it 100 in the sense that post-fight, he's like, yeah, if I saw anyone get caught in that, I think they're an idiot. It's one of those things where you don't think. I remember Sheldon. Westcott winning with a a Von Fluen. It's the same thing. It's one of those things that you don't think is happening until it's too late. So it's something you're gonna have to live with for the rest of your life. But if you're the one that pulls it off, heavyweight goat. Like, seriously, heavyweights.
Dude, the guy's got like 40 submissions. I think 8 or 9 by Ezekiel. Hello.
Just check. Yeah, exactly. Just the dumbest thing. The dumbest thing. I'd be so embarrassed, mentally, physically, and possibly sexually.
Oh. I had to do it. Okay, they also announced a couple things on that broadcast right there. They announced the Ultimate Fighter Redemption with coaches Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw. So we have the current bantamweight champion taking on the former bantamweight champion, and there's already some bad blood now.
Naturally.
Normally I would say, man, you know what? These guys are fabricating it. Well, apparently they don't like each other, and Dillashaw's going to prove a point against Cody, and Cody's like, yeah, you're going to see who's going to prove a point. So kudos to these guys for putting it on, but the only problem that I have with this is that it's going to tie up the bantamweight title. All that momentum sort of goes away momentarily until the show comes back on, and then hopefully these guys will go back and forth with each other, and I know Cody Garbrandt isn't going to back down, and TJ really doesn't really start much drama, but he may on the show. The good thing also about the show.
For this, yeah. Sorry, go on. You said.
Yeah, just real quick to get your thoughts. So those two guys are coaching. I don't like the fact that it's tying up the belt, but at the same time, it's an all-star cast. There's going to be one or two existing UFC fighters on the roster, guys that have won the show in the past, guys that have been on the Ultimate Fighter before. I kind of like this idea.
No, I do. I do too. And it's definitely a twist and a rebranding, obviously. And it's cool that they've cut some of the budget in regards.
Nope, looks like we may have lost Elias Theodorou momentarily there. He's going to talk about budget. As soon as he comes back on, I'll pay attention on my screen, ladies and gentlemen, to see when he comes back on. Hopefully, we can get his point across there in terms of what exactly he was trying to get at. Especially, I want to ask him the fact that in our own backyard, I shouldn't say our own backyard, but an hour and a half, 2 hours away from the Greater Toronto region we live in, the UFC will be hosting UFC 210, if I'm not mistaken, at 210 in Buffalo. AKA that is a road trip for yours truly, but it looks like Sean Rossap and Fightful will be applying for a credential for yours truly, and perhaps someone else from Fightful to see if we can actually get credentialed by the UFC. As for those that know the history or the story, the UFC, I guess, denied my credential in Toronto, my own backyard. There were a variety of things that I had heard, one of which was we applied too late, to which some of the old guard for the UFC says it doesn't matter. We're going to get him in there some way, somehow. Unfortunately, you got to respect the fact that some of the people that are working currently under the new regime for the Ultimate Fighting Championship, they do not, let's just say they need to look out for their own jobs first before they would help an old friend like myself. So I did get a chance to go to the event. I did have an opportunity to basically go there and watch the show. I wasn't able to cover it per se. I wasn't able to go backstage. And I sat there, ladies and gentlemen, and I was sitting, I guess, to the left where the media sits. So it was to my right, basically my 2 o'clock. And it was just empty seats all night long leading up to the main event. And it wasn't until the main event that people were finally sitting in their seats. And that was something that always disgusted me when I was covering the UFC for Sportsnet and just in general. And I would go to all these events because there was a handful of us that would be there from the opening bout of the evening until the very last one because, A, we're not only media, but this is what we love. This is our passion. So, I lost getting credentialed to, I'm going to say, about 18 to 20 people that could care less about the UFC in Toronto, could care less about the sport. I just didn't really care about being there. They got their credential, but barely covered any of the fights. So hopefully with the UFC in Buffalo, we'll see what happens. We'll try and get credentialed there, try and get down there. It's, like I said, about 2 hours from my house. I think we may have lost Elias Theodorou. I'll wait a bit more.
Sorry about that, Joe.
There he is.
Sorry about that, Joe.
No worries whatsoever. You're sort of sideways on me now. I don't know what just happened there, so I'll wait till I see the actual. Oh, yeah, there you go. Are you able to turn the? Nope, not okay.
There we go. Bam.
All right, there we go.
Sorry
so we're
that.
talking about the Ultimate Fighter, and you said you were mentioning something about they had slashed the budget.
Yeah, they did slash the budget in regards to production, but at the same time, it looks like the money's actually going to the fighters, which I'm huge on. They're going to be getting paid more per fight. It's going to be essentially as if you were fighting an MMA fight. Whether that's going to mean it's going to be on your record or not, I don't know. I don't know how the format's going to be, but it looks like there's a bigger pool too in regards to the actual contract itself, and the winner gets X amount, 100,000, 200,000, or whatever like that. Whereas before, like I can tell you on my thing, you have to still, when they say 6-figure contract with the UFC, with the UFC to fight it in order to get it. So I think in some regards, I think there's more money to be won along the way, which is always good. So I'm okay with that.
Okay, we are looking forward to the cast. I mean, there's been some leaks that are out there. Rumor has it Junie Browning might be on there, but there's a bunch of people that are going to be on there. Before I let you go, because I know it's time for you to sort of get back to what you're doing, as well as yours truly. They announced UFC 210 in Buffalo will be in April, April 9th. No belts have been announced yet. It's the first time the UFC has been there since 1995 with UFC 7, Ken Shamrock taking on Oleg Taktarov. I think I have that VHS tape somewhere in a box to the right over here. I know your fight's in 5 weeks, but if you come out unscathed, would it be cool to fight in Buffalo, or would it be better to go watch the fights in Buffalo?
Elias for the interim middleweight championship. Here we go. I can see it. Buffalo for the Buffalo interim middleweight championship of the world. I've heard that they're actually going to have a big fight in Edmonton sometime in July or something like that. So I would love to fight in the Canadian hometown, and it's much easier, avoiding that whole foreign tax thing.
Oh, good call, my friend.
You eventually get it back, and like in reality. For instance, I fought in December, or I fought twice in the U.S. last year. So what happens is I got taxed 30%. I'm getting it back, but Uncle Sam's a loafer. I'm still waiting on it. It's been a year. I'm going to get it back, and it's like I never spent it. But at the same time, let's not do that. And again, if we're going to look at mixed martial arts or the Canadian scene as somewhat being stuck still in the vortex of GSP's disappearance or retirement or whatever, yours truly doesn't mind taking the mantle and continuing to fight in the hometown in front of a bunch of my Canadian fans. I've been all over Canada. I had my actual first 2 fights at Hard Knocks in Calgary. So Edmonton's a stone throw away from there. I live in Montreal, but I also live in Toronto. I was born in Mississauga. And hell, I fought 3 times in Halifax. So I'm a Canadian boy around this whole town. I don't mind doing a whole tour to bring in some of the UFC fans for that event. It's a few times, events and whatnot. So, Canada, paint the red, baby.
Totally agree. All right, we're gonna wrap this up right now. Before I let you go, anything that
you're over there?
What's that?
Oh, you're
you're cutting on me, my friend. You're cutting on me. I don't know if it's the concrete wall that you're behind there. What was the final thing you were saying there?
Ooh. No, is it okay with me already for the week? Can you hear me now?
A little bit. Try again.
I was joking. Are you bored with me already?
Never.
You're done.
Dude,
yes, that's what I thought.
I could never be bored with you. The amount of trouble that you and I can get into, even though this is, like you said, modern technology, it's probably safer. It's always safer when you and I are not in the same room or in the same vicinity. So I can never get bored of you, and I'm actually looking forward to you coming home. Looking forward to the fight. Hopefully, I don't know if I'm going to Halifax. I'd love to go, but we'll figure something out. But like I said, before I let you go, anything else you want to say to the peeps that are tuning in?
Maybe podcast Tuesday. The Tuesday leading up to the fight. So if you're not there physically, you'll be there mentally. Again, I like you. I run on the sponsors. Obviously, I talked earlier. Feel free HPN. I'm an HPN elite athlete, and they allow me to cater. But there's a lot of X in my day, and I'm lucky to be a part of that. A part of both those companies. The other thing I was going to say, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's very easy to find me, and look out for a lot more a lot of things I got planned. I want to kind of like position myself for mixed martial arts.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Elias Theodorou, and I do concur. You may want to follow him on Instagram, especially he's got this damn horse, a picture of his face.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know what's wrong with this guy and why I selected to bring him on here, but I think that's the reason why right there. There's always something going on with Elias. But don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, Sean Pearson. And if you missed last week's podcast with Sean Pearson, there's far more F-bombs in that podcast than my whole week combined with all my guests. So Sean is likely going to cause some havoc, and especially the fact that when I asked him about this card here, UFC Phoenix, his quote was, quote, "I don't give a F," end quote. So we'll see what he has to say about the card and all kinds of other things. But again, thank you everyone for tuning in. What's that?
Maybe he's changed tune. Maybe it was a great card to him.
He said he was going to PVR it and then let me know by the time we connected. So I'll connect with Sean probably after this, and hopefully my water tank gets filled today. Elias, again, thank you very much. Please give my best to the boys and girls over at TriStar, and I'll see you soon, my man.
Back at you, buddy. Take care.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Elias Theodorou, yours truly. Don't forget, tomorrow, hopefully 10 a.m., but check out my Twitter, social media. I will post when the podcast will go live with yours truly and Sean Pearson. For now, thanks a lot.